So it can be as simple as I'm here. I want to get here. There's something in the middle. And what's in the middle is what it takes. Right. And so sometimes I need you guys to understand that where you want to be in your career, in your relationships, in your marriage, in your friendships, in your social circle, in your personal development, in your growth is not unattainable. Like it's within your reach, like it's within your grasp, but only if you have what it takes. Like, do you have what it takes?
Optimal health is not a privilege, it's a right. However, unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of health challenges today can be attributed to lifestyle. This includes our physical activity, the quality of our relationships, stress, purpose and fulfillment, and of course, our diet. But what if there was an alternative? What if we could prevent and combat these health challenges with lifestyle changes before pills and procedures? You are listening to the Plant Protocol Podcast with yours truly, plant-based health and business coach, and now the forever voice in your head, Lisa A. Smith. It's time to come get this health.
Good morning. So I was recently watching an interview with Mr. Beast. And if you don't know Mr. Beast, he has the #1 YouTube channel in the world with over 366 million subscribers, right? And Mr. Beast has been YouTubing since he was 11 years old. He's currently 26. Now, this man, he's the founder of Feastables, a chocolate brand. He's the creator of a really popular game show, the Beast Games. He has a ton of ventures, a ton of businesses, a team that includes hundreds of people, and it's estimated that his assets are worth billions of dollars, right? At least $1 billion. And he recently did an interview on one of my favorite podcasts, and the interviewer specifically asked him, was he happy? And he admittedly said in this moment, no. And it got me to thinking about happiness, and it got me to thinking about what it means to be happy, how much of our happiness we are in control of, and whether or not one has what it takes to be happy. I was thinking about my own happiness, and I was thinking about how I got to where I am now. I'm at a point in time where I'm extremely happy in every area of my life. And I had to really think about, and listening to him answer that question, what it really takes to be happy. And so that's what I want to talk about today, y'all. Welcome back to the Plant Protocol Podcast, aka Monday Morning Keynote with yours truly, Lisa A. Smith, your favorite plant-based health and business coach and personal development coach. And of course, the forever voice in your head. Today, we're talking about happiness. Several years ago, I created a framework in my business accelerator. So I teach business and I teach coaches how to have successful coaching businesses. So I help aspiring coaches and current coaches to grow their coaching business or establish their online coaching business. And several years ago, I created a framework inside of our business accelerator called the trifecta of transformation. And the trifecta of transformation, I break down 3 components that play a role in somebody's ability to change. So when you're trying to coach somebody, you're really trying to coach them to a more optimal version of themselves, an improved quality of life, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what area you coach in. It could be health like me. It could be business like me. It could be personal development like me. You could be coaching somebody in their finances. You can be coaching somebody in their relationships. You can be coaching somebody in their spirituality. You can be coaching somebody through healing. It doesn't matter. The goal for us as coaches is to get you to a place where you're optimized, right? And so I created this framework many years ago called the trifecta of transformation, where I break down 3 things that I believe must be present in order for someone to make significant change. And really quickly, the 3 things in the trifecta of transformation are desire, willingness, and capability. Okay. Now, the third one is the one I want to spend some time on today. It's capability. Okay. So the title of today's episode is, do you have what it takes to be happy? Because in listening to the #1 YouTuber in the world and listening to his interview and him, like, kudos to him for his transparency and his honesty, listening to him talk about how he's not happy in this moment really got me to thinking about what it takes to be happy. Because a lot of times, I know for those of us who are underdeveloped, those of us who don't have a heightened level of self-awareness, we tend to believe that happiness is based on some external things, right? And many of you, I'm sure, because you guys are all super smart and you consume content like this all the time, you have heard people say that, happiness is an inside job and happiness is your responsibility and all of these cliches and all of these wonderful things. But I like to get in the weeds with stuff like this. And so today I want to tell you what it took for me to be happy. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about what it took for me to be happy in every area of my life. And I want to talk about what it might take for you to get there as well. So we're talking about capability today. Do you have what it takes to be happy? Right? And so I want you to think about an area of your life where you currently are. And I want you to think about where you desire to be. So somewhere where you haven't quite arrived yet. This might be in your health. I work with people every single day who are struggling to optimize their health. They either want to lose weight, they want to get off of meds, they just have recurring aches and pains and discomfort and inflammation. And they're really trying to get on the other side of that, right? Maybe it's in your career. One of the number one causes of chronic stress for a lot of people is their job, right? It's what they do every day for a living, whether you're working for somebody else or working for yourself, right? That is a point of contention for a lot of people. And so in this morning's keynote, I want to spend some time talking about what it takes to be happy at your job. What does it take to be happy in your health? What does it take to be happy in your healing? What does it take to be happy financially? What does it take to be happy overall? Like, these are things like every day people are like, help me. They're in my DMs. They are in my email. They are in my programs. And they're like, I'm trying to get from point A to point B, but there's something in between that needs to be done. And it's been my experience over the last several years, especially when I had to go through my healing journey of, abandonment from my father. It's been my experience that it takes something to get there. Like, it takes something. And I want to make sure you guys understand what it truly takes. And so I want to talk about this thing. So you guys all, I'm sure everybody's heard of IQ, right? And so IQ, it's like these standardized tests that measures human intelligence. And then many of you, especially if you've been rocking with me for a while, you've heard of EQ, emotional intelligence, which is your ability to understand and manage your own emotions and emotions of people around you. So that's EQ. But today we're going to talk about HQ. Okay, we're talking about HQ today. That does not stand for headquarters. That stands for your ability to understand and manage your own happiness. So I want you to rate your happiness right now on a scale of 1 to 10 and just rate it overall, no particular area. Let's just say we were combining every area of your life: career, relationships, health, personal growth and personal development, spirituality, finances, all of that stuff. On a scale of 1 to 10, who's willing to be honest today and rate their current state of happiness? Like, in this moment, not where you desire to be, not where you were last week or last year, but in this moment, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you guys rate your happiness? Because this was a big deal for me when I listened to this interview with Mr. Beast, and he said he was not happy, which wasn't surprising to me. But I think it's surprising to a lot of people who think, if you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire, that happiness is automatic. So I was reading some comments after the interview and people were saying, I'm surprised. I'm like, why would you be surprised? Happiness ain't got nothing to do with the amount of money or things you have. So I'm seeing the votes coming in. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm seeing 5s and 6s. I'm seeing it's 7. Okay. All right. So kind of mid. What I'm seeing the majority of people are average on the happiness scale. On the scale of 1 to 10, I'm seeing average, average, average. Now, here's the next question. If you are less than a 10, my next question is, do you know specifically what it takes for you to get from where you are, 5, 6, 7, to a 10? That's my next question. Yes or no? Like, if you're less than a 10, do you know what it takes for you to get to a 10? Like, are you crystal clear on what it takes? And I mean like the specifics of it, not like, oh, I just got to be more bold. But I mean, like, specifically, do you know, are you clear on what it takes to get from a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8 to a 10? If you know, I saw a lot of yeses. So if you know what it takes, here's my final question. Like, Lisa, I didn't come on here to take a quiz this morning. So here's the final question. All right. You said you're less than a 10. You said you know what it takes to get to a 10. And then this next question is slightly different. Do you have what it takes? Be honest. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And maybe I'm struggling. Because if you know what it takes and you're not there, I'm assuming that just means you're on a journey and you're doing the things. But if you're not doing the things to the best of your ability, my question becomes, do you have what it takes? That's different than, do you know what it takes? Right? Because there's no reason why we all shouldn't be quickly approaching 10. So if you're being completely honest with yourself, do you have what it takes? So I have a mastermind called Clarity, and I do a private podcast for Clarity, right? So most of you guys probably know about my public podcast, the Plant Protocol podcast, but I also have a private podcast called Clarity. And I did an episode for them about a month or so ago. And in that episode 12, it was entitled, Do You Have What It Takes? Because here's what I find. I'm going to tell y'all what I find. I've been a coach for a long time. As you guys know, I say that almost every episode because y'all need to know. Okay. I've been a coach for 10 years, right? And what happens a lot of times is like when people come into our ecosystem, they do our challenge or they come into Farm to Table, our plant-based coaching program, or they come into my business accelerator, like they're excited, they're pumped up. Like, I want to lose weight. I want to get off these meds. I want my skin to clear up. I'm sick of these headaches. I'm sick of these digestive and these gut issues, these stomach issues, coach. Like, I want to love what I see in the mirror. I'm sick of hiding, coach. I'm sick of not showing up on assignment because I have insecurities. And so I hear all the things, right? And then when it comes to business, people come into our business accelerator and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sick of seeing people unhealthy and unwell. I'm so sick of people in my church and in my community and in my family struggling with obesity and diabetes and high blood pressure. And they come in, they have so much passion about health. They're like, I want to help people. I want to help people. I want to help them overcome these health issues. I want to help them eat better. Coach, help me build a business. I need to know how to do it. I need to know how to be a teacher, and I need to know how to be a coach, and I need to know how to put together an offer, and I need to know how to sell that offer. And so people come into our programs excited. I want to get healthy. I want to start a business. I want to be a better version of myself. They come into my mastermind. I got imposter syndrome. I struggle with identity issues. I struggle with believing in myself. I struggle with confidence. And so here's the next part of that conversation. So they come in and I say, what do you want? And they tell me everything I just said. I want to feel better, look better, be better, do better. I want to pour back into my community, and I want to help the people that I live with. And I want my family to live long and all of these things. And I'm like, oh, this is dope. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh gosh, let's get it. Let's get it. And then the next part of that conversation, I say, well, if you want to get all the weight off, if you want to get completely off the meds, like if you want to really start a business that helps you leave your 9-to-5 and really can sustain you, here's what it's going to take. I say, it's going to require abstinence and not moderation. I get that you think you can eat a little bit and drink a little bit of that, but your goals demands abstinence. Like if you just wanted to reduce the medication, sure, moderation might be an ideal approach. Like if you just wanted to lose most of the weight, but not all of the weight, sure, you could probably work out with just like a mid intensity. But you came in here telling me that you wanted all of the meds gone. You came in here telling me you wanted all of the weight gone. You came in here and tell me you struggling every day when you go to work or go to church or go to family gatherings and you looking at your family members sick. So if you really want to build a business that positions you as an expert and an influencer and get people to listen to you and do what you say, here's what it's going to take. Like being private about what you know worked before. But if you really want to be an influencer and if you really want to shift people's behavior, that's going to require you to show up on camera every week, every Monday morning at 10 a.m., despite how you feeling. Like if you really want to move the needle in other people's lives and you really want to create something phenomenal that changes people's lives, that's going to require you to work from 5 to 9 after your 9-to-5. That's going to require you to get into the curriculum and do the work when nobody is looking. Like that's going to require you to take a chance on yourself and put yourself out there. That's going to require you to show up and learn how to sell because you can't do it for free. That's going to require you to become a marketer and tell people what you do and not be ashamed of it. That's going to require you to get on some stages in front of crowds of people who are all staring up at you and waiting for you to drop gems. Now, let me ask you again. Do you have what it takes? See, because it's very easy to say, like, okay, I'm not at a 10, but I'm striving for a 10. And it's very easy to be like, I'm about a 7, I'm about an 8, Lisa. And it's very easy to admit, yeah, I know what it takes. Sure, absolutely. It takes hard work. It takes courage. It takes blah, blah, blah. But then when I spell out the steps for you and I circle back around 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later, and you still at a 6 and you still at a 7 and it don't look like we get no closer to 10, I'm going to be like, well, wait a minute. You told me what you wanted and I told you what it takes. And you had the audacity to tell me you have what it takes. This is what it takes to be happy. Like you told me you wasn't happy in your relationship and I told you you was going to have difficult conversations and I told you you were going to have to start making decisions and I told you you was going to have the courage to choose yourself. And for some reason, your work ethic and your effort don't match what you said you wanted. Like getting off the medication completely doesn't allow any cookies and any chips in your life in this season. Like it doesn't allow any alcohol. Now you told me you understood what it takes, but it doesn't look like you do because you're not doing what it takes. Like I need y'all to understand that happiness is not a matter of the luck of the draw. Happiness is not like, oh, like some of us are blessed and some of us are lucky enough and some of us get handed and others don't. No. There's a gap between your 7 and your 10. There's a gap between your 6 and your 10 and something is in the gap. It takes something. Like we just had a student the other day. I'm teaching a cohort of Farm to Table right now, right? We're teaching a phenomenal cohort. We got about 38 students in this cohort. Fire, right? Fire. We got like 98% Black women and we got 2 Black men, right? And so just the other day in class, let me tell y'all what happened. One of our students, she took our 30-day challenge. So in January, every January, we do a 30-day vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge, right? So we did the challenge last month in January, right? And she took our challenge and she was a VIP in the challenge. Shout out to the front row. And so at the end of our challenge, we were like in the VIP session and she was like, man, I'm disappointed. She's like, because I keep seeing everybody else, they talking about how much weight they lost, 18, 19, 20 pounds. She's like, I done lost 6, right? She was disappointed in her little 6. I think it was 6. It was low. It was below 10. It was a single digit number. And she said, I only lost about 6 pounds. And I'm hearing everybody else. And she was like, I'm sitting here thinking like, well, what am I doing wrong? That's what she said, right? So clearly, with regard to her health, her happiness was not at a 10. Okay. But she decided not to give up. She decided to keep going. And she then went from our 30-day challenge and she enrolled in Farm to Table, our plant-based coaching program. And so we had our second class in our cohort last week. And at the beginning of the class, we're going over scale and non-scale victories. That's what we call them in class, right? So we're going over our scale and non-scale victories. And she raised her hand, y'all. And she said, I'm just happy to report that I went ahead and did what you said, and I removed all of the healthy fats out of my regimen. She was like, I was going a little bit too hard on the nuts and the nut butters and the avocados. She was like, so I went ahead and significantly reduced those, right? And she was like, I'm so happy to report the scale is moving again. I done lost 3 more pounds just this week, right? She had what it takes. Like, I need y'all to understand. The needle wasn't moving, so she wasn't happy. Okay. There was an adjustment that needed to be made in her diet specifically. It required her to give up a little bit of the things that she was really enjoying. Although they were not disease promoting, they also weren't weight loss promoting. And I tell everybody who's on a weight loss journey when they come into the plant-based world that sometimes we can go a little crazy with the nuts and the seeds and the nut butters and the avocado because they're so delicious. So while they're healthy, from a weight loss perspective, they can stall your weight loss if you're over consuming them. And so that was a piece of advice that I gave her during the challenge. Like, I need you to check those healthy fats because that's what I had to do years ago when I was trying to drop 10 pounds. I'm like, oh, shoot, I can't eat a whole avocado every day, right? I can't just binge on nuts till I get to the bottom of the jar. Like, I got to have some self-control. And that helped move the needle for me. And so I give that same advice to our students and she did it. So it can be as simple as I'm here. I want to get here. There's something in the middle. And what's in the middle is what it takes, right? She said, I finally did it. And so sometimes I need you guys to understand that where you want to be in your career, in your relationships, in your marriage, in your friendships, in your social circle, in your personal development, in your growth is not unattainable. Like it's within your reach, like it's within your grasp, but only if you have what it takes. Like our students in our business accelerator, I'm like, listen, if you want to be the voice in your specialization, if you want to be the expert in your unique lane and within your dedicated lane, if you want people to be attracted to you and be attracted to your offer in your business, you got to show up and build a relationship with your audience. Like we have a relationship. I don't think it's a coincidence that then when I make an offer that aligns with the problem they're trying to solve, they're like, sign me up. That's what we all want in our business, right? They know I operate out of integrity. They know I'm going to give them what I say I'm going to give them. They know I'm honest. I don't think it's a coincidence that Regina watched me on social media and was like, oh, that's the coach I need to help me take my business to the next level. And so when I made an offer publicly, Regina took me up on my offer, scheduled a phone call privately. I didn't have to sell Regina. All I had to do was tell her the logistics, how much, what time did we meet, how long we gonna be together. And that was it. Like, if you want to have that type of ease in closing deals and getting clients, I tell my students, you gonna have to show up and build relationships with your audience. You can't sit back privately, scared of the public light, scared of the microphone, scared of the camera, and then expect somebody to just believe you and trust you, and they ain't built no rapport with you. I built rapport with my audience because I really believe in what I'm selling, and I really believe in what I do, and I really believe my solution will solve the problem I say it will solve. And so if you want that same result, you're going to have to show up publicly, and you're going to have to show up publicly consistently, and you're going to have to show up publicly with confidence, and you're going to have to premeditate what you're going to say before you show up so that you deliver high quality content. And I say, do you have what it takes? You're upset about the state of health in your community and your family. But then that means if you want to change the state of your people's health, you got to show up as a leader. You got to lead from the front. You got to do everything you're telling them to do. You got to eat right. You got to exercise consistently. You got to pray consistently. You got to do mindfulness. You got to meditate. You got to drink water. Right? You got to set boundaries. You got to hold the boundary. And so I'm like, so now, do you have what it takes? Because if what's going to get you from the 5 and a 6 to a 10, it's going to be you showing up publicly when you're naturally introverted. If what's going to get you from a 5 or 6 to a 10 is you showing up when you don't feel like you look your best, when you not super confident in the way you sound and the way you talk and the way you speak, that's what it takes. So do you have what it takes? If you're saying helping people every day in this particular area will make you happy, do you have what it takes to be happy? Everything you want is well within reach. Everything you want is within your grasp. But do you have what it takes? You say you want to be in a different pant size. You're not satisfied with your current pant size. Well, what it takes for you to be happy when you look in a mirror, I know what it took for me was it took me hiring a trainer, a coach. I was like, oh, I can't DIY this. I can't do it myself. I'm going to have to get help, right? It's going to take me to change my diet. It's going to take for me to work out even when I don't feel like it. It's going to take emotional intelligence so I'm not eating my feelings. Do you have what it takes to be happy when you look in the mirror? I need y'all to understand that happiness is just an assessment. Like, only thing you need to be happy is what it takes to be happy. That means you need the work ethic. Let me list some characteristics so that we're super clear. Like, it takes work ethic. It's going to take time management. It's going to take task management. It's going to take you having boundaries. It's going to take you making non-negotiables. It's going to take you making, here's the tough one, decisions. If right now, part of the reason you're not happy is because you're indecisive about so many things in your life. Like, oh, do I want to stay at this job or do I want to go? Like, oh my God, it pays me what I believe to be a reliable paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. I have health benefits and I have this, but I'm miserable. And so you in the gray area because you're not making decisions. Nobody said you had to leave today, but you do need an exit strategy. You do need to have steps that's going to get you out of that job, but you're not even willing to create the exit strategy because you're too indecisive. So what is it going to take for you to be happy in your career? It's going to take you becoming a decision maker. What does it take? Happiness is not happenstance. Happiness is intentional. Like when I reflect on my life and I'm like, man, I'm really happy with my social circle. Like I'm really happy with my career. I'm really happy with the company that I've built. I'm really happy with my team. I'm really happy in my relationship. Like I'm really happy in my health. But I wasn't born a 4, a 6. I built this. Like I didn't wake up like this, right? I worked for this. Like I lost 60 plus pounds. I had to do what it takes to be happy in my health. So happiness is not a happenstance. Happiness is not reserved for those selected few who are chosen. Happiness is something that you wake up every day and decide that you want, but then you have to look at where you are versus where you want to be. And you have to understand very clearly what it takes. So that means that when you come to somebody like me, who's a expert and a specialist in my field in plant-based nutrition, when you come to somebody like me, who's an expert and a specialist of building online coaching companies, if you come to a specialist and you tell them exactly what you want, I've had people come to me and they be like, Lisa, I want to travel like you. I want to speak like you. I love the way you build community. I love the way you lead people. I want something very similar. And I'm like, oh, okay, bet. Well, here's what it's going to take. And they like, whoa, all of that? I'm like, all of that. Like it takes something. And so last year, you guys know that I've been working on my book, Radical Obedience. And I didn't want to take that draft, that rough draft into 2025. And so I had to look at what it would take for me to be happy for the process of writing my book, for the state in the process of writing my book, for getting it closer to being released. I said, what is it going to take? Because I'm not happy with the state of my book right now. So what is it going to take for me to move the needle and get my satisfaction level with this process to a 10? Some of us are dissatisfied in the process. And so I looked at how many days were left in the year, and I looked at how many pages I had to edit, and I had to do some math. I said, if I want to take a cleaner version of this book into 2025, I got to work on it every single day. I broke it down. I had to edit 3 pages a day to take a new, better version of this book into 2025. Do y'all know how hard that was? I had to challenge myself. I said, Lisa, do you have what it takes to edit this book and get to the other side of this thing so that it's ready to go to a professional editor? And I had to work on that every single day. I mean, there was days I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I had other stuff to do because my schedule didn't change for the book. Like no, my schedule didn't get lighter. I still had all the responsibilities I had prior to the book. I still had them. So I had to figure out a way. I had to make it work. I said, Lisa, do you have what it takes for you to increase your level of satisfaction with the process of your book? Because you're not happy right now. I said, well, let's see. I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to do some math. How many days are left in a year? How many pages do I have to edit? Let's do some division and let's get to work. I did the math and it came out to I had to edit 3 pages a day to be done with it by the end of 2024. Turns out I had what it takes. I did it. I did not skip a day. I did not give myself an excuse. That is tough. Because first of all, I was doing something intellectual. It wasn't something like exercise. And although exercising is hard, you ain't got to think about it that much. Like you can walk, you can run, you can do a couple machines. It's not a heavy lift intellectually to exercise. Editing a book that you want to go into print for other humans to read and potentially change their life is an intellectual task. And so I had to see if I really had what it takes. Can you wake up at 3 a.m. and try and be deep? You know what I'm saying? On the keyboard, like, and another thing about obedience, because when God said, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was deep. Like, I was like, Lord, thank God I don't eat sugar. Jesus, thank God I eat right. Thank God I move right. Because after this, I still got to hit the gym, Jesus. Like, it was a struggle some days, y'all. But I had to prove to myself that I had what it takes to become happy in this particular area because I wasn't happy. And y'all know when you work that hard for something, you know the feeling of satisfaction when it's done. Do you guys know how good I felt when I edited that last page? And truth be told, so much has happened since I finished editing this first draft of the book that I'm probably going to have to add about 2 more chapters. Matter of fact, my good friend Kiwi said this to me. She said, Lisa, based on the amazing things that have happened to you since then, this probably ain't the first and final draft of the book. You probably going to have to add some more chapters before it's really released. And I'm like, you're right. You right, because things is just going, it's just getting too good. The story is just not getting juicy. Right? Because the book is about radical obedience, and I chronicle my personal life and my personal journey to living a life of radical obedience, and the ups and the downs and the challenges. And so she like, yeah, you're going to have to, because you ain't even talked about this in the book. I'm like, that's true. But do you guys know the feeling of satisfaction? My happiness with the book went from a 6 to a 10 by December. Do you have what it takes? Like in a matter of months, like it don't take long. So like you say you want to be in a different pant size. Do you have what it takes to be happy with where you are physically? Like you say you want to be in a blissful relationship. Do you have what it takes? That might mean that you're going to have to work on yourself. There's a certain way you showing up in a relationship that ain't doing it any justice, any service. Like both of y'all need to work on some stuff. Do you have what it takes? Are you willing to do that work? Like you say you want your social circle to be different. I have another client in my mastermind. She's phenomenal. But she admits, she said, when I come here, talking about our mastermind community, she said, when I come here, I feel so good because y'all always support my dreams and y'all always support my vision and my purpose. And it's never any negativity. And I feel so good when I come here. She said, but I have other circles that I go into and I don't feel as supported. My dreams don't feel as supported. It's not positive. Like people have settled. They're not striving for more. Like one of her social circles is just not a growth circle. And I'm like, well, you got to make some decisions. Like if you don't feel fulfilled in that place, like you used to, but you might have outgrown that circle. Now you got to do something about it. Do you have what it takes to move the needle? Like that means you're going to have to distance yourself from people and things that's not the same. Do you have what it takes? Like you can be happy in your social circle, but it's going to require you to make some decisions, maybe even have some difficult conversations, because you might have to explain after a while to them people like why you ain't been around and where you been. And you don't want to lie. You want to be honest. Do you have what it takes to curate your social circle so that it aligns with where you're going in this season of your life? Like, I don't even understand why we miserable. Let's wrap this up in a nice little bow. And so, Mr. Beast is a billionaire or quickly approaching that. I know his assets add up to that. And he admittedly said he wasn't happy. And, money doesn't make you happy. Money doesn't make you unhappy either necessarily now. Let's be clear. I'm not one of them people who like, money doesn't mean anything. Money means a whole lot. Like money means a lot. Let's be clear. It's not the only thing, but it does mean something. It plays a role in the equation, right? And so he said he wasn't happy. And again, the catalyst for this conversation was, I am happy, right? And I don't have the status, the celebrity, or nearly the amount of YouTube subscribers that Mr. Beast has, but I just had to come on and break down what it takes and how did I get here? And I just want you guys to know that there's something in the way. There's something in the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So let me just clear this up. We have an IQ, which assesses human intelligence. We have an EQ, which assesses our ability to manage and control our emotions. And then we have an HQ, which is our happiness quotient, which is our ability to manage our happiness. But that usually comes with some level of work and discomfort that the average person is not willing to put forth. I was at one of my coaches' events a couple years ago, and he brought on a speaker who was talking about he had trained with this Navy SEAL, right? Jesse Sitzler. What's Jesse's last name? Anyway, Jesse was the speaker, this white man, super cool. And he was talking about he had trained with a Navy SEAL, and he was saying that the Navy SEAL had taught him that the average human, right, only gives 40% of what they can truly give. The average human only gives 40% of what they can truly, of their potential, and that the average person needs help giving the other 60%. So here's my invitation to you guys. For those of you who are admittedly not a 10 across the board, and it's very normal not to be, and that number fluctuates throughout our life because stuff happens, right? But if you're not a 10 in your happiness, in whatever area we're referring to, my invitation to you is, if you know what it takes, but you're not giving what it takes, is to get help. Because you're likely giving below what your natural threshold is. your effort is below what that natural threshold is. That's why I'm never coachless. That's why I'm never without a coach. Like, you can outgrow a coach, but you never outgrow coaching. So right now, my personal coach is Dr. Eric Thomas. He's my coach because I'm always in an ecosystem, and he comes with a community. So I'm in his community. He's my personal coach, right? As a matter of fact, I just asked his opinion on something the other day. I was sitting at the airport and I was thinking, because I've been debating for a while now, y'all, maybe a year or two, of whether or not I should go get my PhD, right? And so I've been thinking about it. And so I asked him, like, it's nothing like having a coach, somebody who can see blind spots for you, somebody who can assess from the outside looking in, right? Because I'm like, am I giving 1000%? Let me just check in, right? So I'm sitting at the airport the other day, I'm kicking it. I'm like, let me text E, ask him. I'm like, Coach, do you think I should go get a PhD? You know what I mean? We got to talking about it. And so I'm never without a coach because I never, ever want to run the risk of only giving what the average human gives, which is 40%, because I'm not average. I'm above average. And not because I say so, but I'm looking at what I've accomplished. I've looked at what I'm able to do. I'm looking at how much effort I give. I said, I never want to be without a coach because I always want to make sure I don't slip back down to that ease of 40% effort. Like, I was in the gym this morning doing step ups to back lunges and and bridges and lateral lunges. It was leg day today, y'all, and band squat. And I'm working out like I got 100 pounds to lose. Why? Because I never want to get caught giving only 40%. Because at 40% effort, you probably won't be miserable, but you might not be at a 10. And I need to look in the mirror every single time and be pleased. Y'all see what I'm saying? Like, every single time I need to be pleased. And so that's what's important to me, right? But I want to be clear, like, if the average human only gives 40%, I can almost bet that's when they're working alone. That's what the Navy SEAL said. That's what Jesse Itzler said. Like, when you're trying to do it yourself, you just gonna go to what feels comfortable. But when you have a coach, a community, an ecosystem, accountability partners who are able to check in on your blind spots for you, that's when you're able to push and go that other 60%, right? We see this all the time in like the fitness world and people who run marathons and do triathlons and all these strong man competition and mud runs. Like, just when you think you like is exhausted and you can't squat another rep, you ever had a coach behind you and they say something or do something, or just them being there makes you feel like you could do one more? That's the needle that needs to move for a lot of us when it comes to our happiness. It's not that you're not doing anything, and that's what trips us up. You're doing something, but you're not doing all that you can do. And so the question doesn't just become, what does it take for me to get this area of my life to a 10, but do I have what it takes? The answer is probably yes, but the caveat, the small print there is not by yourself. Right? You have what it takes, but you actually need somebody else. You actually need a coach, a community, an ecosystem, somebody pushing you. I had somebody reach out to me like, I'm going through hard times. I might need to drop out, blah, blah, blah. I said, are you sure? Are you sure you want to drop out? Because this ain't what I promise you. It's dangerous when you disconnect from the coach and the community. No matter how much you have going on, disconnection is dangerous. And so I want to give you that little framework today for establishing your own personal HQ. So I want you guys to know, whatever area in your life that feels like it's below, it's just average or below average right now. The first question is like, do I know what it takes? The second question is about capability. Shout out to the trifecta of transformation. It's capability. Do I have what it takes? And if I don't have what it takes, who and what do I need to attach myself to get there? Because happiness is not reserved for people who are at a certain income level. Happiness is not reserved for people who are at a certain weight or pant size. Happiness is not reserved for any particular circumstance. There's no circumstance that dictates whether you are or aren't happy. It's about whether or not you're willing to do what it takes to get there. It's just about doing what it takes. It might take you years to get out of that debt, but you get closer and closer to a 10 out of 10 with your finances as you're working the plan. And sometimes you need to be connected with somebody in order to do that. And that's the challenge for a lot of us. So if you guys haven't already, I want to invite you to subscribe to the Plant Protocol podcast, because these are the type of things we need to hear on a regular basis to be reminded that, shoot, I am only giving 40%, right? I did just do enough to say I went to the gym, but not enough to sweat today. I didn't do my best this week on my fruits and my vegetables and my water. Like, I didn't do the best in my relationship this week with communication and quality time and compassion. Like, are you moving the needle intentionally? Are you doing your best? Like, you know what? I haven't been doing my best spiritually. I ain't been spending enough time with God. I haven't been tithing like I'm supposed to. I haven't been, showing up and volunteering and giving of service. Like, are you just doing enough to say you still in that thing? Because that's going to keep you average. And that's a great plan sometimes when you're trying to maintain. But if you still have a milestone to get to, if you still have a milestone you need to cross, it's not enough just to do just enough anymore. You got to go a little harder to get to a place where you've earned the right to let your foot off the gas for a bit. Like, you got to have enough credit in the bank. Like, you got to have enough in stores. You have enough stored up before you can afford to miss a workout, right? You got to have enough credit for that. Like, some of us ain't built up enough credit in our health. We ain't built up enough credit in our relationships. We ain't built up enough credit for us to be letting our foot off the gas and dropping the ball. And so happiness keeps eluding us in that area because we're not consistent long enough to establish a different baseline. You establish a different baseline, you then earn the right to some things. Like, it's not saying that you never gonna have another potato chip, but you ain't done enough to get a potato chip. What is you doing? And so you only giving 40%, and so it's not working. It's not working, okay? So that's what I need y'all to know. Work on your HQ this week, this month, this year. Your happiness quotient. It's possible. I don't care what level you on. I don't care how much you got or you don't got. I'm telling you, happiness is available to you no matter where you are in life. But there's something in between that 6, that 7, that 8, and that 10. And what's in between is probably going to be a little more than you're used to giving. Here's the final thing I want to leave y'all with. For some of you guys who think it's impossible to get out of your miserable work and situation. For those of you who think it's impossible to get out of your marriage that's not blissful. For those of you who think it's impossible to get away from friends and family. Or for those of you who think it's impossible to lose all of the weight and get off of all the medications and to feel optimal in your health physically, mentally, and emotionally. Here's what I want to leave you with. I want you to make sure you understand the difference between impossible and unwilling. Understand the difference between impossible and unwilling. Okay? Stop labeling things as impossible just because you're unwilling to work that hard. It is impossible to get out of the debt. It is impossible to pay that stuff off. It is because you're not willing to work that hard. It is impossible, but only based on your work ethic, not because it's really impossible. It is impossible to lose all the weight because you're not willing to lose all the sugar. Yeah, absolutely, it's impossible. That makes sense to me. Absolutely, it's impossible to have a blissful relationship if you're not willing to heal from the last one. Yeah, like, let's talk about social circles. Do you know what it takes to make new friends, healthy friends? When I made a decision a while back, I'm like, you know what? Ooh, I'm in the mood for some new friends. And so I was like, okay, I know where I want my new friends to come from. I know I wanted them to come from communities I was in because, that automatically meant we had some aligned core values, right? And so I paid attention who I was naturally attracted to in some of the communities I was in. And I started intentionally increasing my proximity to those people in those communities and started just like girlfriending them out because we was vibing. We'd be cracking jokes doing this. And I'm like, dang, I should take this one step further. And so 2 of the new friends that I made recently, they both live actually in a totally different state. They live in Atlanta. And so what happens? I made sure that every time I was in the A, I reached out to them. Let's do dinner. Let's do lunch. Even now, like when we're in different states, I know their birthdays. Matter of fact, one of their birthdays was just this week. And I was just in Atlanta this weekend on the layover for like several hours. So I'm reaching out like, hey, I'm on a 3.5 hour layover here in Atlanta. I'm about to go to one of my favorite restaurants. What you doing? Do you know what it takes to make new friends? Like, some of us are so unhappy with our social circle. We're like, they not on a growth path. They not trying to do the stuff I do. They not on what I'm on. We used to be on the same thing, but now we done outgrown each other. And so now you understand that you need different types of friendships. But do you know what it takes? Like, that means you got to talk to strangers, fool. You got to talk to strangers to make new friends. Like, then you got to keep talking to them. And then you got to make time and spend quality time with them and get to know one another. Like, you got to make new friends. Like, you got to do stuff to have new friends. Like, if you're unhappy with your social circle, you got to start getting social in other places. Like, it takes something to be happy, right? So I just need y'all to get it. So anyway, impossible versus unwilling. I need to make sure you guys understand the difference between the two. Okay, stop labeling things as impossible because you're unwilling to do the work. Okay, it is possible. It's just going to require more work than you're historically used to putting in. Okay, it's possible. It's just going to require more work than historically you've been willing to give. And so you've been used to being pretty okay at 40%. Now you're realizing like that good ain't good enough. My good has become the enemy of my great. I need to move the needle in my health. I need to move the needle in my career. I need to move the needle in my business. I need to move the needle in my relationships. I need to move the needle in my faith. I need to move the needle in my money. I need to move the needle, Jesus. So I can't give just 40% of them. I got to double my effort. So it's not that it's impossible. You just have been unwilling, right? So HQ, let's get it up, y'all. Let's get that happiness quotient up. It's possible as long as you're willing to work for it. I hope this has been good. If you are not already, make sure you subscribe to the Plant Protocol podcast, y'all. This episode and every Monday morning keynote eventually makes its way onto the podcast. It's going to be probably weeks and weeks out, but eventually these episodes do make their way onto the Plant Protocol podcast. So this is going to be your weekly dose of get right, the forever voice in your head. Okay, when y'all out in the streets trying to do some foolishness, trying to eat some foolishness, trying to talk about what ain't possible, when you're letting limiting beliefs inform your decision making, I'm hoping I'm in your head telling you something totally different. That's my goal with every one of these episodes, to replace your voice, because your voice been saying the wrong stuff to you. So I'm hoping I become the voice in your head that tells you it's possible, that tells you you're good enough, to tell you to squat lower, to tell you to drink more water, to tell you to eat like you got some sense. I hope I become the voice in your head that tells you chronic stress ain't meant to be managed, it's meant to be eliminated. I hope I'm the voice in your head that's telling you ain't no such thing as imposter syndrome. You were made for this, you were built for this, but it is going to require some things from you. And then I hope you're willing to do it. Until next Monday, I'll be back here with another live keynote. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, y'all.
You tuned in today because, like me, you refuse to let your good become the enemy of your great. You're not settling for good health when optimal is well within reach. If you're ready to go from good to great, visit lisaangelsmith.com to learn more about our plant-based health coaching program, Farm to Table, and our plant-based business accelerator and coaching certification. But before you go, if you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast. Until next time, remember, radical obedience is still undefeated. Stay obedient.